I've got fear hiccups. I'm so scared I've got the fucking hiccups. That's never happened before. Satoshi and I had... What? All my well-planned actions throughout the day turned out to be nothing more than a reenactment of what Satoshi had done. Satoshi. Had he really been in the same situation as I was now? The friends he had gotten along with changed suddenly, and for no reason, at least none that I had noticed, planned to kill him. Don't forget that one of those people is his sister. Don't forget that. And fearing for his life as I am, he got a bat to protect himself and carried it around every day to practice his swing. And then one day, suddenly, he transferred. My blood went cold, causing a prickling sensation to course through my veins. Starting near my heart, it radiated outwards from the top of my head to the soles of my feet, chilling every part of me without recourse. What did she mean by transfer? What did she mean by transfer? Was Satoshi still at wherever he transferred to? Was he the only one who would be able to understand me? Would he be able to tell me why it all ended up like this? More importantly, where did he transfer to? What did she mean by transfer? What did she mean by transfer? Before I knew it, I was at my front door. The frigid knob was hard to turn. Was nobody home? It wasn't that odd of an occurrence. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the single key attached to my fur seal keychain. I stepped into the entryway. Just as I was about to take off my shoes, a chill ran down my spine. Someone had entered right behind me. Like a classmate messing around, standing right up against my back. You're kidding, right? It had to be my imagination. Logically speaking, it was impossible for someone to be able to hide their presence within my personal space all the way through the door. But there was undoubtedly someone behind me. Fucking hell! Hey now. Hey now. Keiichi, how do you know they're there, even though they're behind you? Because I could hear the sound of flowing hair. That makes me think Mion. Mion's got the longest hair. Or Rika. There's no other reason I'd hear that sound. That was the presence. Because I could hear the sound of them blinking. Keiichi, my bara. There's no way you could hear that. My most base instincts were warning me of the presence. Common sense was telling me that it was just my imagination. Why don't you turn around and swing the bat without even looking? That'll be fun. It might just be your mum, actually. I'm joking when I say turn around and swing the bat. I'm just like, hey, let's just make it as bad as it can be. It was just my imagination. There was nobody behind me. I began to erase the mental image of an eerie figure standing behind me. But at the same time, I asked myself, if there was nobody, then what was I feeling? As an uncomfortable sensation crawled up my spine. Actually, wouldn't it be better if there was someone there? If there was nobody there when you turned around, would you be able to accept that? I'd be able to answer all those questions just by looking behind me. But I didn't have enough courage to even do that simple task. Oh, right. I could try speaking to them. The person behind me might answer me. It was a random thought. I didn't care how I went about it, just so long as I didn't have to turn around. If I had calmed down and thought about it, I would have known that that wouldn't have solved anything. But who is it? I spoke in such a hoarse, broken voice that I couldn't even believe it was my own. I could almost feel them contemplating their response. I felt it. There's no way I should be able to do that. Calm down, Keiichi. It's all in your head. That time, I was certain I heard it. As if hesitantly trying to answer my inquiry, I was certain I could hear the sound of someone inhaling. I heard it. I heard it. I heard it clearly. It was a girl. A young girl. I didn't know who, but a tiny speck of courage in me. However, reckless it was, inspired a primal yet fitting solution to this current predicament. A scream. Oh, good job, Keiichi. All the force in my body released from my lungs and through my throat, ceasing all thought processes in my head. Suppressing all my thoughts and emotions, I began to collapse like a house of cards, somehow managing to twist my body and look back as I did so. It was definitely there. Right there. Somebody was there. Until the moment I turned around, until I brought the area behind me into my field of vision, they were definitely there. Falling face up, my eyes traced the remnants of the presence suspended in the empty space. It couldn't be. They were invisible. They looked like they weren't there, but they were actually still standing there. As I screamed, all the emotions I was holding back burst free in a violent wave. However, I was decidedly calm as my emotional dam collapsed. The turbulent wave of pent-up emotions was skillfully diverted into a torrent of aggression. That emotion was definitely required to extricate myself from the bizarre situation happening right in front of me. In my state of heightened lucidity, I entrusted my body to the fury. The metal bat held firm in my right hand, as if drawn there by a magnet. A mid-level sweep would be the hardest attack to dodge. I remembered reading something like that from a book about swordsmanship or something. Ah! I brandished my will to fight. The afterimage of that amalgamation of metal flashed as it swung from left to right, beating against the entryway. The bat slammed into the right wall, the tip rebounding violently. Very calmly, I transferred the force of the rebound into a sweep to the left. The door of the shoe cupboard was split into pieces. You're starting to act like Tomitake. Those two swings whiffed through empty space, but they seemed to have a great psychological impact on the enemy. I could feel the panic emanating from that space. The attack wasn't the only thing required. I extracted the bat from the cupboard it was embedded in, and screamed as I spun my entire body around in a large arc. My screams shook the air, imbuing my ferocious swing with even more destructive power. It's even the same music. It's even the same music that was playing when Keiichi's death was being described. Without mercy or restraint. My violent strike, with certainly fatal force behind it, shattered the top of the cupboard. None of my attacks struck the enemy, but my ferocity had certainly seemed to impact them. Breathing heavily, my entire body soaked in sweat, the invisible enemy, there but not there, dispersed. When I was certain that the enemy had retreated, I locked the front door and latched the chain. Oh my fucking god, is that the shit that was happening to fucking... That's what was fucking happening to fucking Rina in the school. She was going around smashing every single fucking window. How did I not make the connection between her and Tomitake? That they were both swinging wildly around at nothing. And now it's happening to us. Had Tomitake been experiencing this as well? No way. Had it only feigned retreat and was now inside my house? You're gonna smash the shit out of your whole house, aren't you? Aim for a penny. Once again, I channeled my aggression and searched the house for the presents, but it was gone. Okay, good. Not good, it's gone. Good, we're not going to fucking obliterate our entire house. I had succeeded in fending it off. There's no way she could just be behaving like this after baking a fucking needle into our thing. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Two girls are just doing the same doll stuff. All of a sudden it stops being about them and I have to start thinking, is this something else? The thing there though is if they didn't want to kill Keiichi, then that is risky, because that's just leaving it to a gamble. I don't understand the logic, and that's what is confusing. There's no logic behind it. I mean, that happened, right? That definitely happened. Hey, here's a wild fart. Absolutely wild fart. Now that hallucination is seemingly, you know, not off the table, what if the needle wasn't real? What if the needle in the mochi wasn't real? We said it. I said it. I said it before. It's completely fucking illogical for that needle to be there. There's no rhyme or reason to it. If it was there to scare us, if they wanted to scare us, why would they risk doing something that could kill us? If they wanted to kill us, why wouldn't they do something more certain? The needle wasn't real, was it? What if nobody is acting strange? What if all of this is in our head? What if all of the girls are just acting normally? And we're just imagining them acting this way? How would we not have been even slightly injured by being struck by the wing mirror of a van? Sure, we managed to dodge it. But we should have still had our shoulder hurt. None of it's real, is it? Something's affecting us. It's happened before to Rina. I think it happened to Tomitake. And now it's happening to us. Fuck. So fucking doomed, man. At that moment, the tension drained from my body and I let out a deep sigh of relief. All of the emotions I'd been holding back chaotically merged together and began to flood out. A hodgepodge of fear, accomplishment and disbelief all mixed together and began to flow through my body. Unable to deal with each individual feeling, I beat them all back with the strongest. Exhaustion. Even in this moment, I remained composed. We're hitting, like, telltale heart levels of denial right now. It's like, viewer, but reader, I cannot stress enough how calm I was. Reader, I cannot instill it within you enough how owned I am not. I am not owned, by the way, dear reader. Just so you know. Do not hark to the floorboards and find within the telltale heart beneath, for there is no telltale heart, for I am not owned. After checking that all the doors throughout the house were locked, I went up to my room on the second floor and closed the curtains. I straightened my back and tilted my head a little. Clearing my mind of all my idle thoughts, I managed to calm down even more. What was that at the front door? There was definitely something there. Thinking about it, Maybe it was just an apparition I dreamt up in my confused state, but I really didn't think that was the case. Calm down, Keiichi Maibara. Compose yourself. But no matter how calmly I thought about it, what just happened wasn't a figment of my imagination. It was obviously a supernatural phenomenon, and without a doubt, something was behind me. It wasn't some sort of illusion I saw amidst my confusion and disorientation. Proof? I had just one piece. When I asked who is it, they inhaled, as if they were about to answer. That sound had clearly reached my ears. You know, audible hallucinations exist, yes. I've had them once or twice. Only once or twice, like. The situation I was in right now was still unclear. Either I'd been possessed by this supernatural phenomenon known as Oyashiro-sama's curse, or this was a ruse by the villagers who believed in it and were imitating it. Either way, their motives were unclear. The roundabout way it had been done was also still a mystery. If it was perpetrated by humans, that would mean admitting that it was Rina and the rest of them doing it, but it would be solvable. Oishi-san and the rest of the police would surely arrest my enemy. But if it was a manifestation of Oyashiro-sama's curse, I wondered what would happen. Oishi-san very clearly declared that curses didn't exist. At that time, those words were pretty dependable, but as things were now, with the rising possibility that the perpetrators were not human, he suddenly seemed quite unreliable. This is good and bad, I feel. It's good because I agree that Oishi-san is probably doing you more mental harm than good. He's making you increasingly paranoid about your friends and telling you secrets that you really have no right to hear from anyone but them. But on the other hand, this is bad because Oishi really was kind of like his last saviour in a way. And however genuine that saviour was going to be, it was something that he could rely on. And now he hasn't got that. He has nothing left. No certainty whatsoever. He is now completely and utterly alone, facing some unknown threat. And all the while, not discounting the possibility that it might just be the people of the village fucking with him, and that he might have to defend himself. He's now all alone and still able to justify defending himself. It's the perfect recipe for an unmitigated fucking disaster. If I told Oishi-san this was the work of Oyashiro-sama's curse, what would happen? I couldn't imagine his reaction, but it would go without question that a void would expand rapidly between myself and Oishi-san. With me having so few allies to begin with, and not being able to confidently declare whether or not this was a curse, there was no merit to doing that. I'd better keep the facts of what just happened at the doorway to myself. It would be better if I didn't add what just happened here to the memo behind the clock. There was still the ever so slight possibility that I was actually confused when I thought I was composed, and I was just going berserk in the entryway. At least you're holding on to that possibility. That shows like there's a faint, flickering ember in a rainstorm of self-awareness and sanity remaining right now. How wonderful would that be if that was really what happened? I would be able to refute Oyashiro-sama's curse. But if I denied Oyashiro-sama's curse, then that would mean admitting that Rina and the rest were the perpetrators. If I said that Rina and the rest weren't the perpetrators, then that would mean believing in Oyashiro-sama's curse. By denying both of those, I would be admitting that I myself was losing it. The three options from which I couldn't choose became a trilemma of sorts. They mixed together and formed a whirlpool in my mind, making my head spin. Sorry, the spacebar takes away the text. I thought it advanced things. Once again, I straightened myself and leaned my head back slightly to cool myself down. Keiichi-kun, what the fuck have you done to our fucking shoebox? We're in so much trouble. Calm down, Keiichi. Accept what has actually happened is reality. Stop thinking of anything more than that. But I couldn't help but think of it. How wonderful it would be if it turned out I was delirious and everything up until now was a figment of my imagination. We're really fucked that that's the best case scenario, aren't we? Yashiro-sama's curse wouldn't exist, and I would still be bestest buddies with Rina and the rest. I would have to be crazy. That was the first time in my life I'd ever wished for such a thing. The phone scares me. The phone rang noisily downstairs. Generally, there were no calls for me, so I never really answered the phone much. But since my parents weren't here, I had no choice. I squirmed off the bed and went downstairs. Hello, this is the Maibara residence. Is your refrigerator running? No. You should be. Keiichi, this is Mum. I intuitively had a bad feeling about this. It's because I thought she was going to ask me to go out and buy some things. So I took the initiative. What? I don't mind having instant noodles for dinner. There's still a lot of them. The other day, we went out as a family and brought a whole case of cup noodles. I wanted to get a bunch of different kinds actually, but they refused since the individual packs were so expensive. So instead I got a whole case of the mega-sized pork and bone and ginger flavoured ones I liked. But my parents don't like strong flavours and didn't touch any of them, so the cupboard was still full of them. So you see, there really isn't a need to go shopping, right? Keiichi, I'm not asking you to go shopping. Both Mummy and Daddy have to go to Tokyo right now because of work. Huh? Right now? This was really abrupt. It means we're alone in the house for an extended duration of time, including the night, which means we are fucked. No, we're already here. We left this afternoon. It's quite a distance to Tokyo from Hinamizawa. Gunning it full speed down the highway would still take 6 hours. Dad has a license, but since he doesn't like the highway, they likely took the train. It would have taken longer. I think you might understand since you heard us speaking last night, but it has to do with Daddy's contract. Right now, things aren't going so smoothly. Now that she mentioned it, I did remember that they talked at all that time about how his job prospects weren't looking so good. Daddy is really sensitive about things like this, so if we leave things as they are, it'll affect his work. Out of my father's particular fragile artist personality, his emotions changed as easily as the fall sky. You could also just say he couldn't take criticism. But something like that can be done over the phone. Keiichi, this is your father's job. So can you support him a bit, please? The hiccups are coming back, with the realisation that I'm alone. Fucking hell's bells. Anyway, it's just faster to talk about it in person, so there wouldn't be any misunderstandings. As their son, there was nothing more I could say once they started talking about work. So we'll be back tomorrow night. Keiichi, will you be fine on your own? It's not like I'll die or anything. Well. Keiichi, you shouldn't speak so lightly of dying. If there's something troubling you, just talk to us. I believe Mummy will be able to help out. Yesterday I did bring up if I died rather abruptly, so I suppose they were a little worried. But really, I was more depressed by the fact that nothing will be solved by telling them. Oh, God. But I didn't plan on dying. Or at least not while I still knew nothing. I would never allow it. I won't die. I won't. I'll survive even if I have to gnaw my leg off. Yeah. See you then. Tomorrow morning, make sure to wake up. Yeah, we'll do our best to do that too. And eat your breakfast. And don't forget to take a bath and brush your teeth. Yeah. See ya. The call ended like that. I calmly and with immediate composure screamed my fucking lungs out. Sometimes my parents went off to Tokyo for business meetings. But Tokyo was far away. They normally did things by phone. The times they did go were normally planned out in advance. They never happened this suddenly. I couldn't say that those circumstances didn't feel strange or rather unnatural. Oh, are you proposing that it is through fate itself? Some kind of maybe cosmic manipulation has basically left it to be that now that things are really coming to a head, you will be alone for the next 24 hours? Is that what you're proposing? Anyway, I only needed to recognize the reality of the situation. That tonight, I was the only one in the house. That when my parents came back from work, I'd be gone. Missing. Vanished. Looking back on the series of events of the previous 5 years involving Oyashiro-sama's curse, it wouldn't seem that strange at all. Come to think of it, it was getting pretty late. I didn't think it was good that the only light on in the whole house was from my room on the second floor. It was the same as broadcasting to the enemy that my parents were gone, and this was their chance. Okay, to be fair, that is a good point. If you're ever alone in a house, it can sometimes be a good idea during risky times to put the light on in your front room or the television for a little bit. Make people think that someone's in. Obviously, you don't want to rely on that, but, you know. I think it's just a natural dissuader of thieves. First, I ran to the living room, flicked on the lights, and turned the TV on to a reassuring volume. Next was the study. I similarly turned on the lights and some music. You know something? I feel like you might be taking this advice a little bit overboard. Now, if there are any intruders, you won't be able to hear them. With this, from the outside, it would look like my parents were here. I suppose it's the front and back entrance covered. Once again, I went through the house, checking to see if there was anything left unlocked. When I saw the veranda and the laundry still hanging out there, I went pale. That would have made it too obvious. I needed to take it down. I snatched down the laundry, haphazardly, and erased all traces that my mother wasn't there. It should be fine now. Ugh! The garage! They hadn't gone all the way to Tokyo by car, but they had gone up to Okinomiya Station. The garage was empty, wide open and in plain sight. This was not good. I panicked and rushed out the back to close the normally open garage door. It should be fine now. I needed to get the paper. Mum always got the paper. Since I left in the afternoon, the evening paper was still out there. My premonition was correct. I pulled out everything from the mailbox and dropped it in the entryway. With this, for sure, this time, it should be fine. And then it wasn't. Come to think of it, leaving the cupboard busted like that for my little freak out was kind of bad. I'll just say I tripped and fell and the bat I was holding smashed into it. Even so, just leaving it in its current state wasn't good. I should clean it up a little bit before Mum got back and scolded me. I remembered that there was a broom and dustpan in the closet. As I was going to get them, the phone rang once again. Oh, fuck no. No, please. I don't think our parents would have any reason to ring back so immediately. Hello, this is the Maibara residence. Oh, is this Keiichi-kun? Is your mother around? Oh, fuck. Oh, dearie fucking ecky fucking thump. Oh. Ah. She isn't here at the moment. You idiot, Keiichi Maibara. Don't reveal that your parents are gone. You could follow it up still. Calm down and take care of it. I think she'll be back soon. That wasn't a good response either. Now they might say they'll call again or to tell her to call them when she comes back. Oh, then that's fine. It wasn't anything important. Well then, sorry for the bother. Okay, even I think that's suspicious as fuck. That's literally like, okay, cool. Your parents are in. Coolio. Bye. And then fucking all the wiring in your house is gone or something. Oh, you've been murdered. The scenario I feared didn't play out, eliciting a sigh of relief. I love that it's like me and Keiichi, like, tag in and out of being suspicious. Like, I get suspicious whenever Keiichi is relieved. I'm like, uh-oh. Wait, that's a bad side, actually. Fucking hell, fuck. That call was fortunate in more ways than one. I'd have to deal with any telephone calls coming in from my parents tonight. I was somehow able to deal with a phone call just now, but I couldn't continue to rely on such poor improvisation. I needed to make up a good story, to explain that my parents were home but couldn't answer the phone at the moment. Yeah, they've got the shits. Can't make it right now. It's fucking torrential up in Cadbury's Alley. They were making tempura and couldn't step away right now. That's better. I guess. I mean, my excuse is like, that's a great one for like, you know, if you've ever had to take time off work for illness and work are asking what's going on there, even though they have no right to actually know, if you say, oh, I had a stomach bug, it's like, that doesn't invite further inquiry. You know, like, no one wants to find out more about that. That wasn't good enough. They were sick and went to bed because they weren't feeling well. Was that going to be safe enough? Oh, that's a fair point, actually. If we give off the impression that the parents are incapacitated, that will probably motivate them to come and kill us. I was thinking about it on the way back to my room when the phone rang once again. Oh my god. It was like they were calling because they knew I was going to lie. I didn't want to pick up, but I knew I had to. They'd suspect my parents weren't here. They know your parents aren't here, man. Get it together. The house has been empty since the afternoon. The garage door was open. You're not slick. You're not smooth. There is no remedying or recovering this situation. This is the night. I should have just taken the phone off the hook under the pretense that I didn't realise it was... But since the phone rang, I had to pick it up. I prepared myself and lifted up the receiver. Hello? I stopped announcing this was the Maibara residence. I had no reason to be kind to someone I didn't know the identity of. But unlike my uncouth voice, the person on the other side sounded goofy and light-hearted.
Hello, my apologies for calling so late. This is Oishi from the Okinomiya bookstore.
Oishi-san?
Is that you, Maibara-san? Well, good evening. Good to hear you're doing well.
Oh, wait just a moment, please. I grabbed a portable handset and rushed up to my room with it. It was the same no matter where I was since there was no one else home. But I wanted to be in a spot that just felt a bit safer when speaking on the phone with Oishi-san. Don't you want to be near the entrance so that you can tell if someone's trying to get in? No, I'm getting paranoid. Fuck. Oh my god. It's happening to me too. Sorry for the wait.
How are things? How are things? How are things? Anything changed since then?
Since then? When was that exactly? There was something about the brazen way he talked that rubbed me the wrong way. The last time I spoke with Oishi-san was 2 days ago. The day I stayed home from school, I met Oishi-san on the way back from the hospital and we headed into town for lunch and had a talk. Then after that, Rina and Mion came to check up on me. Whenever I spoke with Oishi-san, they always knew about it. It was like that since the first time I met him. Today's phone call may be found out by them as well.
Hello? Can you hear me, my Bara-san?
Huh? Oh, sorry. What did you say?
I asked if anything's changed since last time. There wasn't an answer, so I got a bit worried.
Not really. The words stopped in my throat. There was a ton of stuff that had happened. All of it baffling. What should I talk about? I didn't understand any of it, but I should try asking. If I didn't ask now, I may never have another chance. This night, when my parents and weren't home, I had no guarantees I would make it through the night safely after all. Well, Oishi-san, it seems that someone is after me.
Really?
It could all just be a coincidence, but that day I missed school when I was sick, the two of them came to check up on me.
Which two?
Rina and Mion. They started asking about how I had lunch with you. You know, like, I can understand that this is, that this is the action that Keiichi is taking, but I don't feel it will help him. Because now it's like, oh, you're reporting all this to... You're back on the fucking... On the squawker, reporting yet more information about your friends. They started asking about how I had lunch with you.
What next?
They left me some mochi when they came to visit, but there was a needle inside. Fortunately, I somehow didn't swallow it. I wonder, could that have just been a threat?
About the needle.
It was just one of those common sewing needles you see all the time. There was a hole to thread string through.
Not that, my Bara-san. The needle itself. That's evidence. It could be used as proof that they threatened you. Where is that needle?
That's right. That's it. I dropped the receiver and rushed downstairs. When I tossed the mochi, I had overlooked it out of terror, but that needle was a valuable piece of evidence. Let's see, I threw the mochi and needle at the wall together, and your parents didn't notice? Come on, man. Oh my god, what was I thinking? That needle wasn't real. If it was there, then it would be on the living room wall. But my prudent mother had cleaned that living room wall, and there was not a trace of mochi left on it. No way she wouldn't have noticed if there was a needle. Could it be that it dropped in the gap between the wall and the carpet? I frantically searched by running my palm along the carpet, but nothing turned up. I tried moving around the sofa and desks, pulling up the carpet and flapping it around, but I couldn't find the needle. Did my mum clean up everything without noticing it? It was just 2 days ago. I didn't know what days they collected the burnable trash, but it may still be in the trash bin in the kitchen. I rushed into the kitchen, opened up the lid of the pail, and poured out the contents. But even at a glance, I could tell that it would be incredibly difficult to find the needle in this pile of trash. It'd be like finding a needle in a haystack. Fuck, I was looking for a needle in a trash stack. I know, I'll try running my hand through it. It was a bit gross, but I was looking for a needle. If I felt a small prick, I'd be able to find it. It was a pretty tactless method, but it was the quickest. I held my breath and started striking the pile of trash with my hand. Filth flew about. There was nothing more disgusting than this, but it was not the time to be concerned about such details. I continued on for a while, but nothing turned up. I wanted to search more thoroughly, but I was still on the phone. I shouldn't keep Oishi-san waiting for too long. Later, when Mum got back, I'd have to ask her if there was a needle. I hastily began scribbling on the notepad affixed to the refrigerator with a magnet. Was there a needle? I scrawled the words with a red pen. I then dashed back upstairs, where I'd been keeping Oishi-san waiting for far too long.
Hello? How'd it go?
I couldn't find it. I was really overwhelmed when it happened, and
I see. It'd be great if you could find it. Keep it safe.
that's right. The needle wasn't the only incident. I had to tell him about this morning with a hit and run. Also, Oishi-san, that isn't all. Actually, this morning, that van was definitely aiming for me. I could say that without question due to the circumstances at that time.
Did you see the license plate? And search for it from here.
At the time I just flipped out yelling at him, but I didn't look at the plate. Oh my fucking god! I can't take this shit. This is awful. Oh my god. I may have to stop soon as well. This chapter's really long and I'm getting tired. We didn't look at the fucking license plate on the van that hit us, nearly, if the van exists and was real. What failures on my part, with the needle and the plate number. I was so focused just protecting myself that I let some of the most important details slip out of my grasp. Punched my pillow, annoyed at how worthless I was. I'm sorry. I don't know much more than that it was a white van.
Nothing to fret about, my Bara-san. Anyone would be shaken off after being hit.
I guess all of this really isn't a coincidence, is it? Oishi-san started to hem and haw over on the other end. I could imagine him folding his arms. Also, Rina is acting strange.
How so?
What Rina said on the way home today, asking why I was so much like Satoshi-kun. Now I could say it with confidence. That Rina knew what happened to Satoshi. No, you can't! You should have gotten the opposite from that! Oh, I can't be mad. I can't be mad. We, the audience, have more information than Keiichi does. And it's so much easier to think logically and clearly. She knew that there was more to it than him just simply disappearing. Rina knows. She knows something regarding what happened to Satoshi, the kid who was demoned away last year.
What would that be exactly?
Rina said I was the same as Satoshi. She said something to the effect that the way things are going, I'll end up with the same fate as Satoshi.
Fate, you say? Exactly what kind of fate did she say would befall you?
Transferring out, she said.
Transferring out?
Rina said Satoshi transferred out. So given how things are going with me, I'll transfer out too. Oishi-san let out a stern sigh and grumbled loudly.
My Bara-san, that was probably some sort of threat, or maybe some type of warning.
I thought so too. At that point, I started to think. Would it be prudent to sum up everything that had happened until now as the machinations of some human perpetrator? Other than the theory of it being Rina and the others, I was left with Oyashiro-sama's curse actually existing as the only explanation. Of course I couldn't tell that to Oishi-san. Except, Rina's strange behaviour could be proof of either scenarios. Whether it was Oyashiro-sama's curse being real, or everything being part of a conspiracy committed by all the villagers, Rina was involved. Rina had to know something. Rina was suspicious. What exactly was Rina? I couldn't help but think she was somehow involved with a pious string of mysterious deaths. Oh my god, Keiichi. Think for a second. Out of all the people you're suspecting, out of everyone in this village, she's arguably the only one who can't be. She was moved out for them. She only came back a year ago. I seem to recall that Oishi-san admitted that he had dug into Rina's past a little. He was probably just downplaying it when he said a little, meaning he had actually dug pretty deep most likely. I wanted to hear about Rena. I wanted to know what had happened at her previous school, among other things that were still unknown to me. If Rena was somebody I should suspect. No, not that. I wanted to know the truth. Tonight, I was alone in this huge house. Even though I said I couldn't count on them, I had lost the security I had felt just by my parents being around. It wasn't like this house was some sort of fortress or castle. If a malicious person decided to use brute force, they'd easily gain entry. There were no other residences close to the Maibara residence. No one would be able to hear anything, no matter how loud it was. I had never felt as much resentment towards my father's artistic temperament and the fact that he had this house built in such a remote location as I did right now. I wondered if I would still be here by tomorrow morning. That was the fucking doorbell. That was the fucking doorbell. Why the fuck? What are you what the fuck? Why the fuck? What? No, no, no. So I had to ask. Right now. Because I had no idea when the next chance would come. I can't do this. I can't do this. This is horrible. I can't. Oh, God, no. No, 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 no. Oh my God, no. Oishi-san, I have something I wanted to ask about. Please don't keep anything from me.
Sure, ask away.
Even though he was so far away on the other end of the line, this was the most reliable he had ever felt. I wanted to ask about Rena, about what had happened at her previous school. Actually, regarding Rena's... I noticed a sound that had been going on for a while now. Since I was so focused on the call, I hadn't paid attention to it at first. But I finally realised it was the doorbell. The time was 7 o'clock. It was past the time the postman would be making a delivery, and past any sensible time for a neighbour to be visiting. I considered just acting like nobody was home, but that wouldn't be good. That would ruin all the work I put in making it look like my parents were home. I need to answer the door.
Hello? Maibara-san.
Sorry. Someone seems to be at the door. I'm gonna go see who it is.
A guest? Oh, I see. My apologies. Should we end this phone call now?
That would be a problem. No, I'll be back in a second. Do you mind if I just leave the phone on?
It's fine. I don't mind.
I dropped the handset on my bed and dashed down to the door. I needed to make up a good excuse to get them to leave. I had a hunch it was the lady who called right before Oishi-san did. In which case it was one of the neighbours who's friends with my mum. I'll just say Mum isn't feeling well and went to bed early. That would be the easiest option. It'd be hard for her to ask me to wake my mum up if she's not feeling well. The bell continued to ring at regular intervals. If someone didn't answer after you rang the bell so much, you'd normally give up and go home, wouldn't you? Without removing the chain, I opened the door slightly and peered out at the visitor. A chill ran down my spine. I knew it. Somewhere deep inside, I had prepared for this moment. I had tried to escape by imagining it was the easiest person to deal with, one of my mum's friends. Good evening. Rena.